Hey folks, and welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info and questioning everything to find truth. It's about getting it right. So I want to visit a little more what's been going down this morning, getting viral again with this what's being called Truthergate by Enter the 5T40Z Reloaded, who posted this morning one Mr. Casey Brown. And what Mr. Brown reported was he went on Intellisis and looked up Rachel Reenstra, who is the actress that works with ABC's Wildlife Docs and does voiceovers for many. Her work is basically voiceovers as well. But she's also an activist and has been speaking out on chemtrails. Well, the other day she had some respiratory illness, went into the urgent care center, and met a doctor and recorded the doctor talking, a medical doctor talking about chem-lung flu and that chem-lungs from chemtrails. And she recorded it also that the doctor had said that the flu shots weren't necessarily a good idea. And since it was such important information, she gave it to a colleague of hers, Richie from Boston, asked him to post it because he got more views because it needs to get out there. All from Boston posted it. And then someone sent me a link, and I posted that this doctor had some very deep connections and backgrounds, but he was still a medical doctor, and the message of chem-lung flu is real. And that's what's important, is not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But upon a further investigation, Miss Reenstra went back to the urgent center and proved that she had gone there, made an appointment. The doctor appointed to her was random. She did not know him before. The interview she initiated when the doc asked the doctor he'd go on record. She went in and was diagnosed with bronchitis, but he brought up chem-lung flu. She recorded it, and she asked the doctor the question to go on record, and he did. So, all right, so I paid $40. Intellisis is out of Seattle, Washington, and I put my name in and where I grew up and to see what story was about me. What's it got on me? And guess what? I can't find anything about me. There's no links to my James W. Lee. Maybe you guys can find it, but I couldn't find anything in here. So I said, well, let's have a little fun and find out who it is, since I just spent $40 and I can pretty much check up on anybody now and do a background check and find out on others and find out what other people have. And I put up Richie from Boston. Richie Comito is, if I pronounce that right, from Boston, Massachusetts. And here he's in Nahant, Massachusetts, Lynn, Massachusetts. He worked at New Look. Here's his family members. And you can get a report on this. But this looks like the Richie from Boston that we've known off the internet. And then you can go in and get a full report on him, and it lists relatives and whatnot, but not nothing much more on that. I typed in Miss Reenstra's name, and she spells it originally R-I-E-N-S-T-R-A. Very important. She spells it now. She changed her name to R-E-E-N-S-T-R-A because people kept mispronouncing it like I have. It's Reenstra. It's Dutch. All right, so Rachel Jean Reenstra, 48 years old, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. She's confirmed that this is her address where she grew up. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and here's where some of the confusion starts, is it shows her emails at Reenstra Lockheed Martin, and Rachel Reenstra Lockheed Martin spelled I-E, okay? And then undergraduate research at Georgia Institute, Hope College, Georgia Institute of Technology, all right? So let's take a look a little further. And here we have the spelling and the name she spells it currently. Age 48 is confirmed. Born February 16th, 1970 is confirmed. She's also known as Rachel Jean Reenstra with an I-E as opposed to an E-E, which she uses now. All right, so here's where more of the confusion comes. Her employment it lists as materials engineer at Lockheed Martin. She actually did voiceovers for Lockheed Martin over a decade ago, she told me personally, but she also says she's done tens and tens and tens of thousands of voiceovers. But this is a materials engineer from Lockheed Martin, undergraduate research student at Georgia Institute, University of Kentucky experience undergrad, and here's where the gets big one, is the administrative and technical assistant for the climatological Consulting Corporation from December 2004 to April 2010, and then Covenant College, a Christian school, and Hope College and Holland Christian High School University. So here's where the confusion begins. Now, what you don't notice, and what Mr. Brown at Enter the 5T4RZ Reloaded should have picked up immediately if he was really that sharp, if he was really mad at everybody for not being as sharp as him, it doesn't list any of her acting career, folks. There's nothing in here about her work with Disney, about her work with SeaWorld, about her work with Lucas, about her voiceover, about any of her work with ABC and wildlife docs, folks. It should have been a red flag right there to this guy. Did he pick it up? No. Again, how hard it would have been for Mr. Brown, Mr. Deep Investigator, to have to go and look at her bio and look at all she's done here and see that there's no way she could have been a material engineer. There's no way she went to these, what they say in here, in IntelliSys. It would have taken him 2 seconds to figure it out. Did he do that? No. All right, so now I keep the same name and I type in Los Angeles. And since she's using her stage name, which all actors and actresses do, we type in Los Angeles, California. If you want to look at the name game, just look at all the Jewish people who have changed their names in Hollywood, and that'll give you a huge list of names who have changed their name. So we type in Rachel Reenstra from Los Angeles, California, and this is what Mr. Brown at Enter the 5T4RZ Reloaded picked up. Was he picked up 2 Reenstras. One here, which is in Hill Park in Los Angeles. Again, the Lockheed Martin connections, undergraduate research, Hope College. And then here we have another Rachel Reenstra, age 57, that lives in Studio City or Los Angeles, somewhere in the same area. Now, I've spoken with Miss Reenstra, and she says that actpro@aol.com used to be an email of hers in previous work. She does host HDTV, but she's not a lawyer title. So that's false. So this isn't the person that she is, but it has some of her information under this 57-year-old. Miss Reenstra, the actress, is 48 years old. So that's where some of the confusion would come in. But he opened her profile. And then here you see all the phone numbers, and again, the addresses to Lockheed Martin, some alias names and whatnot. But here the employment again is Climitological Consulting Corporation, Administrative and Technical Assistance, and that's where Mr. Brown went off on her. Just went off on her. Well, obviously, if he'd done any little research, he would have noticed that it isn't including anything she's doing with her acting career. He didn't even bother to check. And if he had, he would have gone into this profile of the 57-year-old Rachel Reenstra, and he would have seen that on the profile it listed employment, host HDTV, that she works for, lawyer's title, and whatnot, but it wouldn't have information to understand that this Rachel Reenstra was getting confused with the actress Rachel Reenstra, and let me show you how. So all that Mr. Brown would have to do, instead of being so exasperated that he had to do all this research because no one else can do the research like he's doing and has to bring it out, and he's so tired of doing this, was punch in her name, Lockheed Martin engineer, and look what comes up. Rachel Reenstra, Senior Materials Engineer at Lockheed Martin. What is that all about? Well, if you look, she has a LinkedIn connection. So all you do, Mr. Brown, is you click on the LinkedIn connection, and who's that? Oh my gosh. Is that the Rachel Reenstra you're talking about? Talking about, sir? Which one is it? Well, let's look at her bio. Oh my gosh, she's a social materials engineer for Lockheed Martin. Bingo. You picked the wrong person, dude. You didn't get it right. It's about getting it right before you slander people and accuse them of things that are untrue. And they do have many similarities. She does work at Lockheed, and the actress that works at Wildlife Docs, Rachel Reenstra, did some voiceover for Lockheed over decades ago, she told me. But please do your homework. I mean, this is just bad research when just a few little researchers will find that it's not even close, but they spell their names the same way. They both lived in Los Angeles, but this IntelliSys cannot be trusted. It is not a source to use for critical information and investigative inquiry. You shouldn't be doing that, Mr. Brown. I hope this has taught you a lesson, okay? And one other point that needs to be brought up is I brought up that there was a link that she has $6 million in net worth. And she obviously proved in her video that that was wrong as well. So somebody targeting her, misinformation, whatever. But again, searching for the internet, not knowing what you're looking for, taking the first thing you have, posting it, which I did, but I questioned it. I didn't accuse her, I questioned it. That's the big difference between Mr. Brown and myself. I was asking the question. I wasn't accusing her. And she proved conclusively that to get Cal Medicare, you can't be making over 25, 30 grand a year. So it's impossible for her to be making that kind of money, and everybody just ran with it. But that's just another falsehood that was played out when in fact nothing about that kind of wealth is true in any way, shape, or form. But let's move on, because what's important is the message. A medical doctor, as Richie from Boston said this morning, is the one that is telling us the chem lung is getting worse. It is the message we need to get out. It's what's important now. Here is Miss Reenstra's site on wildlife that you can look up yourself. But also, and she's got a free ebook here on It's Your Lucky Day that she's putting out for free, another sign that she's not a shill. I put my books out for free. She's about getting out the message. I've had several conversations with her, and I will be having an interview with her to get into this in more depth. But I just wanted to get this out there, and we're getting this stuff wrong. It's important that we get it right, but most importantly is the message. Medical doctors are coming out now and saying the spraying, the intensified spraying, it's getting much worse. My son got really sick, and it's personal, and it's getting worse. And you see in the comment sections that people are getting more and more respiratory illnesses. So it's great she had the courage to ask the doctor. It was unfortunate this doctor had the history he had, but also that she didn't do a little more research, nor did Richie from Boston. But sometimes we get it wrong, but it's about getting it right. So hopefully this is setting the record straight. Mr. Brown, I think you owe this woman an apology, and we'll get in touch with this other Rachel Reenstra and find out what she knows about the climatological research company she's been working at. But it is not this Rachel Reenstra that Mr. Brown referred to in his Truthergate-chemlung actress, worked for Lockheed, an urban weather analysis company. You got it wrong, dude, okay? So anyway, this is a plain truth out. Let's work on getting it right. Love one another and do your homework, please, okay? We'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.